Aquarius, welcome back. We're here to do your zodiac sign for the month of June. Yes, we cover this month by month, and the index of how we're going to cover this will be a brief overview of the current astrology. For those of you that don't know, I'm a psychic medium, a twin flame coach, as well as I do connect in both psychically, astrologically, and we will be looking at those energies then into love for singles and couples, career and business, and potentially education if it aspects wealth, wellness, and anything to sum up and any tips I may have for you. So without further ado, let's quickly look at the transits and the must-knows, which directly will be affecting your zodiac sign this month. So it may be very key and critical to know these things so you don't feel you're going crazy. So what we do have is Saturn moving retrograde. That is happening on the 17th of June. I'm going to give you some tips of how to deal with it, where it's linking to your zodiac sign. You are Saturnian in nature and the Uranus energy as well. Pluto also will be reshifting back into Capricorn. And I think a lot of us have been dreading this. It's been a 20-year cycle. It is in its retrograde at the moment. And you can be revisiting 12th house matters. 12th house, if you think back, in the early stages, depending on the age bracket you are, you might have felt quite isolated and unsure about new beginnings. It could have been very psychic. Psychic attacks are possible. So I will potentially give you some advice of using crystals, being aware of the 11th of June, and making sure that you're prepared for that. It can be some changes that do happen to you quite radically, or dreams that you revisit. Really in the mix of it. And also psychology can come up with this. We do tend to look at the 12th house of the house of hidden enemies. It can be gurus, spirituality, psychic energy, mental asylums. Like it does, really when you look at it, it can depend on the given situation you're going through, but it can also feel a little bit like a midlife crisis and an unsure energy. And I definitely was talking to a fellow Patreon this morning, really to do with an ascension process for those of you that are more privy into the energy of spirituality. And it's almost like, it's darkest before the dawn. So it's, sometimes we go up levels and then we feel we go back. But definitely when we reach a full circle, you can feel like a very old soul spiritually. And you definitely can be revisiting that. It was sitting in your zodiac sign. So you were really feeling very passionate about making spiritual changes. And that's going to continue. But a lot of you could have felt this already pending transition coming for this month. I would have said last month. So if that has been going on, I wouldn't be surprised. Just be prepared for it as it does ingress back into Capricorn from the 11th of June. It's not going to be permanent. It's going to be back and forward between the two zodiacs, but it is wrapping up cycles, and it's just about being aware of it. You should be more experienced to that dynamic, but definitely you may find that you revisit some shadow energy, revisit some dreams, and you could have some physical clarity and breakthroughs. Also, because Neptune is going to be going retrograde on the 30th, joining Saturn. These dream states that you are, Neptune it's almost like a magician. It's innovation, it's illusions, it's delusions also. It's going to give you the PDF of where your confidence is, where your finances are and your wealth. And I do feel a lot of you can be really reflecting upon accountability to do with money, restrictions you have in that zone, how you can better utilize it, your money management. Nutrition also can come through with this. And just be really careful, especially with habits that may come up this month. They can resurface. Think back to 2017. We had Chiron in Pisces. We now have also Neptune and Saturn in Pisces, and we can be more strict with that area. And Neptune tends to restrict things and bring it in. It's a little bit like a quality system, but it also can be due to society standards, due to burdens that you're dealing with, or rules and regulations. And I will link it to different areas of your life. Next, Venus also is going to be sitting in the house of Leo. I would say past September. I'll have to double check the date, but definitely moving retrograde next month, which we will cover yet again the following month if you follow us. For you, this does link to your 7th house of marriages, contracts, and partnerships. Definitely some changes are going to be happening in this area, and we will cover it within your romance house. This is going to be very unique. You also can find that you're going to be more bold, more courageous in this area. You could be more playful. I would say with the other surrounding energies, initially it could come through with a lack of confidence, but you may find by facing that, you realize patterns that are there, but this can bring those blasts from the past back. It can be a correction, of course, within a connection, and it definitely can be a change in value systems that you have both within your body, your image, your partnerships, your career sector, your wealth, and more. So, how do we deal with these things? Number one, when Saturn goes retrograde, it's a time to go inwards. It's a time to reflect. I'd also say looking after bones and teeth. Saturn can relate to bones and teeth. There also could be some role that you're taking on spiritually that is going to be very different, and you need a moment to reflect upon it. Neptune also can bring huge revelations, and I do particularly feel with your confidence and how you're going to articulate things, what your emotional compass is, and what you're trying to build. You're going to see whether the people around you are on board, and if you are also. It can be a little bit of a time in which we are reflecting upon how I would say, how we deal with stress, how we deal with dreams, what the potentials are, what the limitations are. And it's almost re-navigating that situation. Your confidence also is going to be reviewing those value systems. Now, as I mentioned, when Pluto moves into Capricorn, it's revisiting your 12th house. Keep your fluid up. Use crystals. You can use tourmaline. You can use onyx. You can use amethyst. Smudge your home. Be in awareness of the shift. If you start feeling worried, panicky, earth yourself, take your shoes off, ground yourself. Also, anytime we are moving through an emotional shift, it can definitely feel, how could you say it? We can feel anxious because we generally want to hold on to something that's tried and true. But it also can be a huge revelation that by going over and through the fair, we actually can have that new beginning. As I mentioned, I was talking to a fellow Patreon. We were doing a coaching session and we were talking about this very subject. And I said, the crazy thing is, last month we were having a lot of energy to do with our inner child. It was our confidence, it was facing our fears, it was changes and the necessity to. And panic attacks and anxiety were very real for a lot of people that I coached. So if you were experiencing that, it was perfectly normal. Now the crazy thing is, the reason why we have such and why we want to hold on to the old is generally due to the fact it's the only thing we know. And so moving into a brand new vibration generally means having courage to face our shadow in it, to acknowledge, okay, A, change needs to happen. B, I'm worried. What will this mean for me? Am I safe? And it's always our memory systems that hold us back. It's, it's like a warning system, a beacon. Oh my gosh, I won't be safe. This won't work. Psychologically, when we move beyond that point, and it can be anything down to you being very critical on yourself, you saying to yourself it's impossible, you're going to find a way that you can. And I don't know why I'm getting the lineage of grandmother energy, probably because Pluto is really in that vibration. You could really be getting some psychic downloads from your loved ones on the other side. So be open to that, but also I can't say don't be scared, because when we're embodying a vibration, it's something we are physically vibing. But I would say know that on the other side of that fair, by sitting in it, by pushing through that circumstance or getting the support you need if that's necessary, you are going to be able to open that new chapter. On the other side, we always look back and go, gee, I wish I'd done that earlier. It was hard, yes, but gee, now I feel so much better because of these choices. You could very well this month have lots of those shifts. Now, the tip I will give you relating to Venus before we move on to the moon energy and then into your love zone will be that for those of you, we can be really getting the PDF of the pending Venus retrograde, okay? And that's why a lot of astrologers, mediums, everyone's mentioning it. Is it a good time to connect with ourself and review our value system, review, okay, checking in with self. Am I looking after am I looking after my emotional wellness? Am I loving the body that I'm in? Am I loving who I am as a human being? What are the good, the bad, and the ugly? I always call a Venus retrograde the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, the body embodiment of it is going to come through this month, and we can start getting that shadow frequency, but it's going to be sitting here for a while. So it's something that we are getting of a PDF. And then from there, we're going into the retrograde, and you're going to see the good, the bad, and the ugly. And it could bring some tension up in these areas of your life, but it's going to be so you personally can sum up what is real, what is now relevant to you, and what is to happen moving forward. Now, if you do meet somebody new, you may need to be very open to the understanding that because a retrograde in Venus is a time in which blasts from the past come back, or we are psychologically reviewing our past connections, our past contracts to look at our future. That if you are interacting with a new individual, be in awareness and try to be detached. Don't get too much. I wouldn't say don't invest. I would say be open and be flexible, because they spiritually, emotionally, psychologically, or physically may end up having those circumstances happening where blasts from the past can come back. So there's a window of about 2 to 3 months, I would say, of that. So go with the flow with it. Investigate, see if both energies vibe. Sometimes we come together to heal, but try to not invest too heavily in knowing exactly how it's going to go, because we're going to see the good, the bad, and the ugly. The other thing I would say is, generally speaking, during a Venus retrograde, it is not a positive time to get married or to invest too heavily in the Venusian related dynamics, because we're going to see the good, the bad, and the ugly. So if you can delay, if possible, doing beauty regimes and things to that degree, you can be quite committed to it this month. And that can be almost like Vanity Fair. However, try to keep things as it goes retrograde next month on the less permanent level. That can be cosmetic surgery, beauty work, because you may change your mind later and you may not like what you get. So it's a better time to investigate, experience. What could the word be? Experiment with the things. Be open to trying new things during that. Now, let's take a look at the moon. The 2 moon phases of what are coming up this month. Now, number one, we do have a full moon in Sagittarius on the 4th of June, 2023. Now, the collective energy of how Sagittarius can play a moon can be mother, creativity, emotions. It's a full moon. It's going to be heightened, especially with spiritual values. So we may, at a collective level, have things to do with religion, spiritual gurus, arguments to do with cultural beliefs. So what is covered in the area is Jupiter, okay? So we did have Jupiter last month move into Taurus. For you, it links to your home zone, your 4th house of your day-to-day routine, your physical home environment. You can find it's going to be more active. You also can find that large activities will happen around that zone, be it it's a business, be it it's socializing and hosting and, having a lot of movement and really reviewing your values within your family. Separately with this moon, this does link to your 11th house, but at a collective level, and I'll talk about the 11th house in a moment, we will see in the vibration of Sagittarius, it can be beliefs, gurus, religion, media, travel, trade. This can be the boating industry, yachts, aeroplanes, long distance travel, higher education, litigation. It is a full moon, which means an ending is coming, but a brand new chapter. Now, in your 11th house, this could be tying up of a large debt. This could be a new way of generating an income and going to a different level of employment, but there also can be conflict with friends, okay? Because 11th house can be friends. It could be your role at work. I would say there can be a transitional feel that you have going on there. And you can be reviewing upon, you know, what you do for other people, as a person, as an individual, as a leader, as a mentor, what you do for other people and what they do for you. So there can be this push pull dynamic, especially as we do have Venus transitioning from the fifth. So be aware of that. The next moon phase is a new moon in Gemini on the 18th of June 2023. It's going to be fresh starts, really good time to recharge, really good time to do your spiritual baths, checking in with yourself, nurturing yourself, doing things that are pleasureful. We could be more bold with our communication, okay? Especially if we are, we can have the most beautiful astrology, but you at a 3D, if you're having a really crappy time, it's going to be difficult, right? Regardless, moons can be heightened emotions. So could you be nervous and up in your head thinking about brand new beginnings? Possibly. For you, this is your fifth house. This can be to do with childbirth, children, creativity, love, romance. A brand new chapter can come. Now, that can come in a myriad of ways. Separately, at a collective level, it is a fresh start. Could be a new routine, new thoughts, feelings, conversations. It can be social activities, socialization, expression of oneself, social media, your physical routine you're doing, what you do versus what other people do. For some of you, it could be that something comes to a head within a romantic connection. But definitely some revelations are going to come through here. Without further ado, let's have a look at both the psychic energy and what I see coming through for your zodiac sign with that astrology in mind. Now, your romance house for singles, and yes, at times couples, it's going to completely resonate with. What I am saying is there is a spiritual shift you're going through. And for both parties in the mix, what I do see initially coming through is a little bit of recovery, brand new chapters, and potentially a lot of reflection. So don't be surprised if you become a little bit more quiet. Just in the initial stages, you could be deeply reflecting. I would say protect your aura, because emotionally, if you're in your personal self-awareness, you're going to be able to navigate the relationship sector a lot better. People are going to be very attracted to you. Your Venus energy collectively for your zodiac sign is Leo. So naturally, you are going to be thinking about self-love, self-care, what you do for yourself, how people, and sometimes you won't even notice why people are pivoting towards you. There is something spiritually changing for you both, singles and couples. I do particularly feel there's going to be a lot of opportunities coming your way in the sphere of either a physical romance, pregnancies are possible, births are possible, new ways of relating to each other. And this is through the transition of this month. Heightened experiences can come through, and I do feel your schedule's going to be pretty busy. So really trying to get grounded, rest, not get into the drama of, people's value systems, being aware of it, being considerate of it. But you definitely could have a lot of things happening in the home zone that are coming at you left, right, and center, especially from last month. I do particularly feel that you're going to be a bit of a social butterfly, and you may be cramming and getting things done after last month, trying to clean up shop after Mercury retrograde. I also feel the busyness, but it's funny because when I psychically tune into you, I really feel you're in the eye of a storm. You're watching and observing everyone. You're having your own personal experience, but in the sphere of love, you're really tuning into what you want right now. And this month, I really do feel a lot of us are going to be, I'm hearing the term, there's no I in team, which means to me spiritually is you could be, and in awareness, you'll know this. First, you must know what you want, and then you can attract what you want. Also accepting what the status quo of situations are, be it you're tuning into a romantic person of the past, tuning into what you directly need. And it's a bit like looking at a contract. It's like, okay, let's look at this contract. What is on offer here? What exactly am I looking for? Is it matching my PDF? And if it's not, okay, in acceptance, if I accept everything that I personally need, what do I need to do to move forward? I do particularly feel that this romantic situation here is going to be moving for you. And, both romance and new possibilities are possible. Now, go back to the moon energies and the tips that I gave you for how to deal with your romantic sector. Because if you are meeting somebody new during this time, I would say do expect some changes come July. It won't be permanent, but we will be reflective and regressing back. There could be some ups and downs. But if you have a very solid connection with this individual, it will see it through. Those of you who are coupled, the same situation applies. I do feel there's reworkings. I do feel there's new chapters. For some of you, pregnancies are possible. If that's something you're not wanting, protect yourself. I also feel a lot of socialization, a lot of conversations. I do feel if there were transitions with your partnership and it was with their money and their work and their family, I do feel that's going to start moving forward now, especially if there were delays in maybe pay rises or changes or, paying debt off. I do feel this frequency is possible for that shift. Now, if something was hidden from you, I do feel it's going to come out into the light. So stay tuned for that. And definitely know the up and up is coming, but there could be, for some of you, the unexpected. Now, your career, lots of transitions, possible breakthroughs. I do feel you could be going to the next level with some of you. I do feel creative projects, especially for those of you running a business, is also possible. Advertising also after the moon is going to, even moving into the first 2 weeks, if you were doing advertising, looking at wanting to study, you can find during this full moon, the first full moon, it can be something that comes into your mind's eye. Where am I going? What am I doing? What do I see myself becoming? You are very driven, okay? Even if this is quite in secret, you are very driven. You have that innovation. And I really feel in the zodiac signs, the ones to watch out for will directly be Aquarians, because I definitely see them really renewing and wanting to change, change the world, change things that need to be. So you are taking into consideration other people, but you also are taking into consideration how you can merge with that situation. If your environment you're physically working in is not working for you, there is a possibility now where you're taking direct action and you're moving in a totally new way. But you do have lady luck there. So when the stars shine on you, go into the signature of what you're wanting and go for gold, because it does bless you effectively in that domain. And I do feel you're goal orientated where it does come to your money. So where it is coming from your money, this could be the axis of your career zone of looking at it and going, okay, where can I generate? I definitely feel like in the wealth sector, you're going to be maybe replacing some goods, maybe wanting to get rid of some things that don't resonate with you. You could be moving your furniture and changing things around. I also feel that you're reworking your budget. And during the retrogrades, I do think it's going to give you key ways to actually do that so you can actually have that wealth creation. But there could be a very large expense or investment that you directly are looking at. Home environment can stabilize out a little bit more so. And I do feel save some money for the following month. That's one tip I would give you. I do see your social settings can take up quite a large chunk of it. This also can be gifts that individuals are giving you and generosity that you're giving to others. So pay attention to your frequency of you as a human being in the budget system, because also anything is an energy exchange. And if things are siphoning your energy, really look at the routine and see if you can shift that around. Now, your wellness zone, I mentioned this in the moon sector. I would say get some tourmaline or onyx. You can use amethyst. If you do get psychic attacks, try and move away from the amethyst for a little bit, but make sure you clear them at the moon phases or just wash them with salt water. Smudging your home. I would personally, because we're returning to that Capricorn energy, I would more than likely be careful with your stretching or your exercising with your teeth and your bones. If anything feels off, getting it checked. Eating foods that balance your nervous system, because, you know, Uranus and Taurus and the previous moon we had in Taurus, it can particularly make you feel that, how can I put it? Anxious. Okay. So excessive caffeine or going from having caffeine to not having caffeine, you're going to get agitated. Try to, you also can be attracted to spicy foods. I would say also, if possible, instead of using pacifiers to deal with your stress levels, find healthy outlets, get into brand new patterns. These were things that you dealt with over the last 20 years, depending on the age bracket you are. So particularly in dealing with those stress levels, what are the healthy ways we can deal with it? Is it acknowledging, the fact that we're stressed? Is it then going into, okay, is it I'm tired? Is it this is just overwhelming my mind right now? Do I need to take 5? Use the traffic light analogy. Red, I'm triggered. Yellow, go into the inner child, you know, protect yourself. What is the boundary you need to make? And then when you're ready and you're feeling that you're, you know, able to directly challenge the status quo, then go into the green and go, okay, now with love, passion, heart, I'm ready to proceed. And that even can be with conflict that could arise with individuals around you, potentially even a friendship. There could be a friendship that you feel has been really bugging you for a while, and it's like it's just really not resonating. And sometimes the most loving thing to do is say, okay, well, maybe this is where we need to part ways. Maybe this is something that really isn't working for us right now in our spiritual growth. And that doesn't mean to say it can't be revisited later. Sometimes it's just a temporary thing. Sometimes it can be more a healthy, permanent thing. I do particularly feel there is an opportunity here to have a breakthrough, but there also, for some of you, if you are going through a stressful situation and there are trust issues or a relationship breakdown, know that the best is yet to come. And it's like as one door closes, another one opens. It won't be permanent. There is going to be changes. Not all of you will have breakups, but definitely know that whatever is coming to you, it's almost like if you had chosen this life and you had come into this space, your oversoul knows what is best for you. So they have worked it out. It's all, you know, it's all ready to go. And I can say as much as possible, trust the process, but just be aware of Pluto moving back into Capricorn. These can bring revelations. So tips, use your crystals, do your spiritual baths, listen to the points in this update to guide you. Save this if you need to so that you can go back to it. Separately, if you know where those positions I've mentioned are in your chart, you can prepare in that area. It will give you a different signature. So look for where Leo is. Look for where Pisces is. Look where Capricorn is. It could be your first house. It's very personal. It could be your 7th house. It's your relationships, your emotions, your contracts, your values, your love life. It depends on where it is. Feel free to book a reading if you need to, or come through and join our super chats where you can ask any question, even though a predominant energy I get asked is in relationship to relationships and the twin flame path. Love and light. I will see you on the other side. I hope to see you next month. I wish you the very best. There can be some beautiful lady luck vibrations coming through for your zodiac sign. Career transitions, going up the ladder, rags to riches, revelations from love, and brand new chapters in that domain. I wish you the best. I'll see you soon.